Alright, continuing the cutting series of my client Vivyen, just as a reminder, I do this as a way to show you how the process can work in general, but just always keep in mind that these numbers are specific to Vivyen and won't be relevant to you. Like I said, it just kind of gives you an idea of how things work. Anyway, as a reminder, when we last left off with week 24, she was finishing up a diet break and we were returning to cut and we were making some adjustments and also decided we were going to only cut for 5 more weeks before pulling the plug. If you missed the last update, we decided to get more aggressive and drop her calories by about 125 and increase her cardio by 100 minutes for the week from her pre-diet break levels. And her body responded in a big way, seeing a drop of a little over 2 pounds for the week, which for her size is quite large. But we also have to remember that the last week of her diet break was also a period week for her, so some of this weight drop was certainly water weight. Regardless, it's great to see things moving well, and what was even better was in her check-in, she mentioned that she was surprisingly unbothered by the low calories. One thing she said that helped was when I told her the previous week when we were making these adjustments that, hey, it's only 5 weeks. 5 weeks is absolutely nothing, because in her mind she was thinking, oh, 5 weeks, that's kind of a long time, but when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, 5 weeks really is almost nothing. And in even better news, she mentioned that she was feeling really good. So between the big drop, her feeling good, it was pretty obvious the right thing to do was just keep things the same heading into week 26. Now week 26 saw a return to the gym for her, so that's another added bonus for her training to become more optimal again. And I almost had kind of forgotten that, like, hey, she hasn't been able to do her normal routine and was doing mostly body weight light type of exercise at home. And I only mention this because I've been getting asked frequently lately if you can lose weight while working out at home. Asked and answered. Anyway, at the end of week 26, Vivyen saw yet another pretty big drop in scale, losing about 1.5 pounds for the week, which is great to see the scale moving, but as always, we have to remember it's not just the scale weight we're looking for, we want changes in body composition. And the first thing Vivyen mentioned in her check-in was she was surprised by the changes that were happening in her body, especially in measurements lately. And she mentioned she thought she was pretty small before the cut, which certainly it's not like she was overweight or anything, but she didn't realize how small she could get and just realized she was down 4 pant sizes and everything's loose on her. And honestly, this is something not a lot of us realize, and that is how much body fat we really carry. What I mean by that is when we're after a certain look, a lot of the time we have to lose more weight than we think we do to get there. I remember being in my show prep last year and I was sitting with this look at 169 pounds and thought, wow, I'm right there. But I ended up losing another 12 pounds before we worked my carbs back up to fill out for the show. So like I said, it's just kind of crazy how much body fat we really carry. And the reason I'm telling you this is because we tend to create these expectations in our head of how things are gonna go, and most of the time it's not only gonna be more difficult to get there, but it's gonna take longer. And the problem is when you have these expectations and you fall short on them, it can do a lot of damage to you mentally and really get you down in a bad place, which is why it's so important to not put so much pressure on the results you're getting and instead focus your attention on executing the program instead of getting tied up in those results. Anyway, Vivyen mentioned that she had another great week, was still feeling really good, was still doing well with food, had no temptations or any struggles with the lower calories. And I really do think this is because of what I talked about in the last update, in that we set that deadline. She knows how much time is left, and knowing it's almost over can really help you stick to the plan better and go all in with the process. I mean, if you think about it, previously she was struggling with food. She was having a hard time sticking to the plan. She's leaner now, she's eating less calories, she's doing more cardio, but she's struggling less. There's a reason for this, and it's not just the longer diet break we took. The other thing she mentioned was her period is due up July 15th, and we have her finishing her cut around July 21st, but she's okay with not taking a diet break like we normally do during that time, knowing that the end is in sight and we're making that final push. Now, once again, because things are going so well, we're not gonna make any changes. We're gonna keep riding this thing out. And with only 3 weeks left of this cut, I'm excited to see how things finish up and where we go from there. Now, here's what you can do to make your own diet easier. Make sure you check out this top video, and I'll give you some strategies you can take to make your diet go as smoothly as possible. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.